But something they never did well was write an adventure, or almost never did well. And so we come to the heart of the issue. Fountains of Bright Crimson. You saw my take on it, and I like a lot of what it was trying to do, but just the petulant, like it's annoying control freak attitude I got. Reese Osby, it just drove me up the wall. You have the floor, sir. Please tell us what you think of the module.
All right, so it is, and now granted, they don't hardly write modules, right? Like, well, especially for the old stuff. I have a collection of stuff they've written for all the New World, and they've done pretty good with those. I haven't really played them a lot, but there's a lot of them, so there's more options. But we'll go into that later. But Fountains is actually one of my favorite of the very few that they do. I just like the whole theme. Of course, again, it's Dark Ages, so that's great. You know, limited technologies, and you know everything's a little more spooky, and the shadows are a little longer and things like that. Yes, it is very heavy-handed when it comes to you're going to go down this path and there is no other way, you know. And again, I get it. You know, a lot of modules, I think that's their drawback. It's very much tunnel vision. It's very, if you want to play this is what you have to do. I get it. But I've run this thing several times. I think there's plenty of opportunity to deviate. And I've had, well, heck, the party at LongCon, I ran it at LongCon first. They finished the whole thing. They kind of like skipped some of this. I know, believe it or not.
In one sitting?
Granted, I only had like 5 players versus, 9? But
oh, wow.
I had like 8 or 9 at
you ran it for 9 before. 9. That's a lot of people. So 5, far more manageable. Yeah.
5 was way more manageable. It started out as 4. Somebody else showed up a little bit into like 20 minutes in. I'm like, come on, sit down. I could use another player. And they were able to get through it. Largely, they ended up skipping some of the
investigation
stuff that was like, this is not 100% necessary. It can give you some hints and some clues. But they just boom, 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 went and got into it, you know, and were able to finish it at the very end. And I was just like, wow, cool. I can't believe I did this in 4-hour time block. But that being said, again, more people made it a little bit slower. Definitely combat's slow. Yeah, you know, again, it's got a lot of suppositions and things that are out of player control, such as the death of 5. And there could have been another death in there when you're in the catacombs and find another guy. If you know, get involved with the Nosferatu, then he just sells the information to the Asimite, who follows you around with Obfuscate 4. So most of the players aren't going to be able to find him. And I opted not to do that because I was like, I realize it's a cheap shot when that happens. I think the first death propels more of the story.
Gets a message across.
You're like, well, what the hell's going on? Why did he kill? Like, what's happening? Why did he kill him? You know, so that kind of gives them more reason to continue with the rest of it. But I do agree. I think if they had basically focused on the Bali as the main bad guys, the main thing, the Bali Malkavian conflict that happens, that would have been a great setup. Although I will say in 2 of the times I've run this, that fight at the end was over in minutes because of A, some lucky rolls, or B, the strategic use of traditionally non-combat powers.
What do you mean?
The use of Dominate 1 to command one of the Bali to do something, and if the character is higher gen or lower gen than them, it works. Stand there. The next person can take an action to stake them or behead them. I mean, it's over. It's over quick. Or at LongCon, one of the Bali has a lot of presence, and he uses Dread Gaze presence to terrify them. They take off running back down the tunnel, so that immediately removes one person from their fight for a few turns anyway. So one of the players had it. He was like, well, fuck this. I'm going to do the same thing. He does it. It works on that guy. He takes off. So it's like, all right, now it's down to, you know, now each person is, you know, each side has eliminated somebody. And they just, I mean, that fight can go very poorly for the players because the Bali have a lot of powers at their disposal. as
a
their
potence, if I remember right. At least one of them.
potence. One of them has potence 4. One of them has daimonian 4. He can throw hellfire. Like
yeah, big deal.
It could get really bad really quickly. But the 2 groups that I've run most recently have basically handled it. Like I'm serious. I was like, wow, congratulations, we're done. I'll just kind of wrap it up for you. And they're like, really? I'm like, you that's it. There's only 3 of them, and yeah, they're all dead. So
that
good
was
job.
the boss fight. Yeah.
Right. That was the boss fight. Was supposed to go differently, but whatever. I'm like,
that's funny. So have there been any things that you've done to the module when you've run it to fix some of the fiddly bits about the adventure, or there's some just different directions you decide to take it in just because you felt like it?
So for example, at LongCon again last year, I actually let one of the characters, instead of using the Nosferatu NPC, I let he picked a Nosferatu, and he picked a beggar king was the concept. And I said, okay, this is you. You are the guy from Jerusalem who knows this stuff.
He just got to play Reynold.
Right, exactly. I let him be that guy. I
Why
said,
not?
and then become part of the party. So at that point, it's like, all right. I didn't tell him that he could sell his information to the Assamites, because I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But with him being part of the party and giving him some of this information, I think it worked better, because it allowed him to be more invested in the story and definitely feel like he had a bigger part than maybe he would have otherwise. And then it worked out great, because it allowed them again to move forward quicker, because he had some information that he could share and then work with everybody to get stuff done. And he did end up deciding to drink one of the drops of blood at the end, just to see what would happen. He's miming his actions, sitting at the table doing this, and I'm like, are you doing it? He goes, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, here's what you get. And he's like, holy crap. Oh, and I'm like, no, won't matter if you do the rest of them, so don't do the rest of them. He's like, okay.
And I have had a character when I played through it, they got the tasty drop before, and yeah, if anything will convince you that, hey, there's something to this diablerie stuff. Like, so this wasn't really diablerie, but it's diablerie adjacent.
It is. It's still a moral, sort of, because it's just a drop. Yeah.
But it's just there,
Right.
And so what if Malkov loses another piece of his soul? Screw him. He's an evil blood god. Am I on his side for some reason? No, I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's actually a really good idea, to just let somebody, especially at a con or a one shot, just grab Raynolf and play him, because a lot of the DM techniques that you'll see online about building, giving people something important to do at the table is give each one of them a piece of information the others don't have, but that they need. Perfect. That's smart.
I've also had, I think, the same game. I had someone played a Cappadocian, and I'm like, all right, well, the Cappadocians in the city, so you want to go and meet with them, and because you are Cappadocian, they will want to meet with you, which is one of the obstacles that they even mentioned, that if no one's a Cappadocian, they're kind of like, fuck off, we don't care. So again, giving them some keys that will allow them to open the doors necessary, and letting the players become more invested, I think is always been something I've always wanted to do and tried to do, even with pre-written stuff. I think there's still plenty of opportunity to modify something that's written, because again, it's your game, it's your table, and as I tell people, I do what I want.
That's right.